Hello and welcome. Today I will be presenting the topic 5 secrets that I use to close $2,000 to $200,000 coaching packages for my 7-figure clients. And my name is Preston Ron, and I'm an author, a speaker, a consultant, and I've been a top enrollment specialist for the last few years. I've been selling high-end $2,000 to $200,000 coaching packages for 7-figure clients, and I've been perfecting this system. And I've recently started doing some coaching on my own, and so I am out here teaching you the secrets that I've used to essentially make millions of dollars. And there's some pretty simple systems that I'm going to share with you. And before we jump into this, I just want to ask if I can, just ask you please to fully be present right now. Turn everything off. Just give me your full attention. I'm going to try to keep this short, and so I'm going to go fast. And thank you for that. And so, who is this training for? Specifically, it's for coaches and consultants. Really, anybody that gets paid to give their advice, their knowledge, their guidance. Maybe you have a special skill set. And so in the next 60 minutes, I'm going to show you the 5 secrets that I use to close $2,000 to $200,000 coaching packages for my 7-figure clients. I'm going to show you the 5-step marketing funnel that all my 7-figure clients use that help makes enrolling clients super easy. And then I'm going to share with you the 7-step perfect strategy sessions formula that I use to close these deals, and it's going to really help you to increase your closing ratio by 30 to 40% or more on average. I mean, I have people that are getting 100% success ratio, but I don't want to over promise you. So you can average about 30 to 40%. And so here's the big idea is that stick around, and you're going to learn my proven step-by-step system to turn more leads into high-paying coaching clients quickly and easily. And at the end, we can either part ways as friends, or when you see what me and my system can do for you, you can choose to apply for my program at that time. Is that fair? And I do want to just say that there is nothing for sale today. So I'm not here pushing my program for anything for sale. It's just if you want to see what the next steps to working together are, we can certainly discuss that. So my goal right now is, if you make these 5 shifts in your coaching or consulting business right now, you can really watch your sales and your income skyrocket by 30 to 40% or more pretty quickly. And the big problem is that you're really hearing people say, I want to think it over. I like what you've got, but it's just too much money. It's out of my budget right now. I like this, but maybe I got to finish up this other coaching program, or I got to do this other thing first. So let me just get back to you in like a month or two, okay? And you're really tired of the results that you've been getting, and you're tired of the income that you've been earning, and you're tired of just really not enrolling enough people into your coaching program, right? And what you really want is to experience different, better results. You just want a system that works. And so here's your solution. If you just make these 5 shifts in your business, then you're gonna be able to enroll high-paying clients quickly and easily. You're gonna close 30 to 40% of the people that you speak to without spending any more on marketing or generating leads, and you're gonna have a better, more consistent, predictable income. And the reason why I say on average, this is what most of my clients are experiencing just right off the bat. David McCallerum, he said that he's taken this class, and the man knows his stuff. His closing rates on the phone has increased an easy 30 to 40% since learning what I've got to share. And Zen, she says down here, she highly recommends me for my knowledge in high ticket, heart centered enrollment. And that's the other thing too. Like, this is, I'm not teaching a high pressure system. I'm teaching something that comes from the heart. People, I rarely, when the conversation's over, if people don't go forward, I rarely hear, negativity, or, people just don't feel like it's a high pressure sale. It's really easy. And here's Gerald So, and he had a testimonial about how he made $45,000 in 36 hours. And I'll just play this real quick for you here.
Hey there, Gerald here. What's up? I'm in Korea right now in the airport. waiting for my transit, but I want to take this opportunity to give a quick testimonial to my good friend Preston. I recently met him in a mastermind in Dallas, Texas, and by just speaking with him for about like 30 minutes, just asking him a few questions about high-end enrollment, stuff. And Preston is just, he calls himself the high-end enrollment specialist. I call him a genius, right? And by just talking to him like half hour, and implementing his proven strategies, I'm able to close like, how much was it? $45,000 within 36 hours. Right? That's just powerful stuff, right? So Preston really knows his stuff. He's a genius, and if you have a chance to work with him,
All right.
be his business partner.
So that's Gerald, and he gets results pretty quick. His story: he was making $2,000 a month, and then he comes to one of the events that I was speaking at, and he learned some high-level stuff there, and chatted with him, and he gets results. In fact, he went on in 9 days. He did $105,000. So that's kind of what's possible. And so, the five shifts to sales success, these are the five main secrets that I saw working when I was doing sales and helping improve the marketing funnels and sales process of seven and multi seven figure earners. And what these five shifts are going to do is going to really just help you to make more money. You're going to be able to help more clients. Your clients are going to have a lot more happiness. They're going to get a lot more satisfaction. They're going to get a lot more results. You're going to have more freedom. You're going to have more time freedom, more money freedom. You're just going to have more freedom. And if you really want to scale your coaching practice to multiple six or multiple seven figures, you really must make these five shifts in your high ticket sales process. And so the first one is total confidence. Like, this is the biggest thing that I find with almost all the people that I talk to, is that just most people have a low self-value, so low self-worth. They have a low self-image of themselves. And in fact, that's the biggest reason why I find that people want coaching, is they don't even know that. But when we are essentially enrolling them into the program, that's really what we're doing. Is we're just saying, look, I'm going to be here to give you the confidence that you don't have, right? I'm going to be that bigger voice for you, right? Most people, even at the end of the conversation, we ask you to make a decision. What happens? Like, you're like, yeah, this is awesome, I totally need this. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, it's time to invest. And then that little voice comes up, and it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm just, that's not ready. I'm not ready for it. It's not for me. Oh no. And you start putting yourself down. So, people have a low self-value. They don't think that they can do it, and that's one of the reasons why they get stuck. They go back to doing what they're doing, right? There's two things we can do: what we've been doing or something different. And so most people just really don't believe that they can reach, say, six or even seven figures, right? What one man can do, another man can do, right? So in my enrollment conversations, I always ask people, in 12 months, what kind of money do you want to be making? Most people will say, I want to do six figures. And I'm like, cool, 6 figures a month is a good goal to have. And they always go, no, 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 I wasn't thinking 6 figures a month. I was thinking 6 figures a year. And I go, oh, well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that there's anybody in your industry that has ever made 6 figures a month? And they say, yeah, of course. And I go, but you just don't believe it's possible for you. I go, see, there's your problem. It's until you figure out that you are worth it, that if one man can do it, another person can do it as well, right? Including you. So most people will say, yeah, I want this. Yeah, I'd love to have this, seven-figure lifestyle, but it's not for me. I could never do that. Or they laugh it off. Ha ha ha. Oh, that's for other people, not for me. They're already canceling out. So, stop worrying about what others are doing and or aren't doing, or what they're charging. I hear a lot of times too, well, I can't charge that. I'm a life coach, right? I can only charge $100 a session. That's what my going rate is. Wrong. We have people that are charging $10,000 packages. We have people that are charging $30,000 packages. You can do the same thing. I'm going to show you a guy. He's a doctor, and he came to me because he wanted to do relationship coaching. And I'll show you that he has just signed up a $30,000 year-long client. And so if he can do it, you can do it. Seven-figure earners create their own path, and they don't follow what others are doing. That's the other thing. A lot of people are waiting for others to do it. When I work with these seven-figure earners, they're not going, oh, well, we need to figure out how to do a webinar, so let's go hire a webinar guy. No, they just jump in and do it. And then people are like, oh, well, you can't do that. That's not the way that a webinar is done. And they're like, well, I don't care. I'm going to do it. And you know what? We get better results. We get better results when we do it that way. Mark Cuban, he says, when I see the crowd going one way or the herd going one way, I turn and go the other. You want to make your own path. You don't want to be following what everybody else is doing. That's a follower. That's not what leaders do. Leaders lead, followers follow. So who are you? When your clients come to you, you have to be the leader. So another reason that people are stuck is that they just aren't charging the high fees. Like I say, high ticket, just like we were saying, like, oh, I can't charge that $100 an hour. I'm not able to charge that. Well, why not? Well, everybody else is charging that, so why would anybody else choose me? The truth is that there's a low, a middle, and a high in the marketplace, and you can choose wherever you want to be. So, for instance, if you put your left hand out to the left, and that's the low end, and your right hand out to the right, that's your marketplace. So, let's just say 10% of the people right off your left hand will never do business with you. So, right, so you can move your hand a little closer, so that won't do it. And then let's just say the people at the very, very tip top are the high end, right? So there's 10% up there. So then that leaves 80% in the middle. So if you have an 80% here where everybody else is, 80% of the people, or you have this small little spot up here where you can be one of the 10%, where would you rather be? One of the 10% or one of the 80%? Most people, for some reason, choose to be in the 80%. But that's it. It's a choice. And so the reason why they don't do that is because they don't believe that they're worth it. They don't believe that they're worth it to be in that 10%. They don't believe that, hey, a life coach, everybody else is charging $100. How could I possibly charge $625 an hour for a coaching session? Well, you can. It's possible. You just don't believe it. It's not about you. It's about the value that they're getting. Like what's it costing somebody else, to not take action on what you're doing. Just because you're charging $10,000 for your services, like what's it costing them? It could be costing them way more than that. Not just financial. There's other things that, cost, there's value other than just money. So, you don't believe that you're worth it, and you feel that it's, you have to keep doing it. Like you need certification, or you got to practice, or you need more years, you need more client. I got to work, probably 5 more years before I can, upgrade to that level. And then the second thing is that you think if you do raise your prices, that you're gonna scare clients away. And I tell you that it's wrong. Here's one thing that I'm going to teach you that I found. This is one of the hidden secrets that I'm going to share with you. There are buyers at every level. Okay, so for you to say, "Oh, I can't charge that price," that's just a lack mindset. That's just negative thinking. You can, because there is somebody out there that is willing to pay your fee. And realize that low paying clients are a pain to work with, and they rarely get results because they choose not to do the work, and then they blame you for the results that they're not getting. And so, if you really want to attract 5 and 6 figure clients, you really should become one. If you really want to attract that, become the client that you want to attract. Doesn't that make sense? So the second shift is really a simple marketing funnel. Like, the biggest thing that most people think is that they really need more traffic. They need more leads to be successful. But traffic doesn't mean a thing if you don't have a system to convert those leads into sales. And instead of focusing on more marketing and more leads, you really need to develop a high converting sales process. And here's the key to all this. This is what most people don't understand, is that your sales process begins with your marketing funnel. It's not your marketing funnel is one thing separate from your sales process. Wrong. That's incorrect. The sales process begins all the way at the beginning from your message and your ads. That's really where your sales process begins. And you have to have a consistent message and a consistent theme, and everything has to be really spot on all the way through, from when that person first sees you all the way through until the end. And so, 7 figure coaches have a simple 5-part marketing funnel at the foundation of their sales process. And so these are the 5 steps, and you probably have seen these. I mean, it's not a surprise if you've been in the industry for any time, and most likely you have something similar in place. Okay, and so the first thing is it's lead attraction. You have to attract the right audience. You have to get the right message in front of the right audience, and then you can create your messages and your ads from that. And then once you do that, you're able to start attracting the right type of people, the right audience. I kind of look at it like fishing. Like if you have the right bait on the right, for the right fish, you're you're going to catch more fish, right? So when we attract the right audience, now we have a way to capture them. So we take them to the next area, which is a landing page, right? It's just something simple to capture the email address. I mean, it's nothing new, right? This is a simple thing. The next thing, this is really one of the most important parts, these next two things. And I separate 3 and 4 out, but really 4 is at the end of 3. So really 4 is kind of included in 3, but um, it's so important that it's its own step. So once we capture the lead, then we have to do something. And there are variations of what we can do. There's tripwires. We can add something for sale right here. Once we get their email address, we can start marketing to them. The typical funnel for a coach is just to send them straight into the educational event, kind of like what we're doing here. Here's the 5 secrets of what you're going to learn. Go through, and at the end, you have an offer, right? You educate your audience, and most people do this correct. And this is why I separate the educational event from the offer inside the educational event. This is kind of your lead offer. And your lead offer is either, hey, I've got something for sale. Here's a buy now button. Or, hey, this is a high-end, high-ticket coaching program, and it requires a conversation. So, but how do you do that? You don't just say, hey, we got a coaching program, jump on a call. There's a whole process that goes into that. So after you educate your audience, then this is really the next key spot right here is your offer, and then at the end is your enrollment conversation. So if you look at this whole process as your sales process, you're going to start converting a lot more at each of these steps. And by the time somebody gets down to you at number 5 and you have that conversation, they're pretty much pre-sold. And that's really why my special, that's my specialty, is I figured out, like, okay, like, look, let's say Ted McGrath hires me to do the sales for his high-end stuff, right? So by the time I get somebody on the phone and they're like, oh, I don't know who Ted is, and I'm not sure why I'm here, like, my job is a lot harder. Now I have to start explaining, I have to start convincing, I have to kind of, show them things that they should already be aware of, right? So I am not in my element. So I go, why? Well, where did they um, fall through the crack? So I have to go back as a customer, and I go through the funnel, and I go, okay, let me listen to how they came in. What's the ad? Okay, let me get to the landing page. Let me opt in. Let me see what happens. Let me get to the educational event, and let me listen to your offer. And I usually right here I go, here it is. And this is usually why these people hire me right here. They don't know it, but this is usually it. So when I figure that out, I tell them, hey, this is what we need to tweak, this, and this, do this, and then they do it, and then I start getting the leads come in, and bam, I start converting, and they're like, wow, you're awesome, you're amazing. I'm like, no, it's not me, it's just the system, right? I'm not any different than you or them, it's just the system. So using the system, you're going to be able to pre-qualify your prospects at each of those 5 stages, and then by the time that they end up speaking with you, they're almost fully pre-sold. And then really there's just that one bottleneck that greatly reduces the chances that a high quality prospect is going to end up on your calendar. And that's what we just talked about. It's that step right there, that offer in your enrollment conversation. And so, like I said, most people do all these other things. Well, previous to this, the enrollment conversation is a completely different story. Most people have no idea what they're doing in there, and it's just a few small tweaks, which is kind of the cool thing. And also in here as well, the lead offer. So we go back, and yeah, sometimes we have to make some adjustments to the message and the ads and the landing page and the event. Usually that's done pretty well, but when we get to this offer, like, this is where most people, like, and it's funny, like, all these people that I work with, these high-end people, a lot of these people, that's how they make their money, is teaching people these marketing systems. Hey, we do marketing for you, we teach you how to do marketing funnels, we teach you the sales process, we teach you all this. But then when I come in, I go, hey guys, you need to tweak out your sales process. And so it's funny because these guys, I'm not at their level. I'm not doing multi 7 figures yet, and these guys are. But it's funny because they're teaching, a system out there that's flawed. They're teaching a system that, when I come in, I go, hey guys, you need to tweak your system. You're teaching people this system, but yours is flawed. So that's kind of the irony here. But this is where I find that bottleneck happens, and 80% of that success or failure in your strategy sessions is going to come right here. So when everybody's like, "Oh, Preston, like Gerald, so you're a genius." No, I'm not a genius. Like, yeah, okay, I am. I'll take it. No, I'm just kidding. Look, all I do is I just say, look, where is the person falling through the crack, and that's it. How can we address this situation right there at that moment and if it's not a fit, how do we not get those people to go forward? Because like the last thing I want to do, like I'm blocking out an hour of my time. The last thing I want to do is not have somebody show up, right? Because that's somebody else, especially now when I'm so busy with all these other things going on. The last thing I can afford is just to have somebody not show up. And that's really disrespectful. So you want to have your whole marketing funnel do that for your sales process. Really spell out who your program's for. Just instead of saying, hey, we've got this coaching program, come on in, check it out, get on a call with me. You say that and you say, but first, here's who this is for. Here's who this is best for. And here's who this is not for. And really be specific. Like spend time to say who it's for. Don't just go, this isn't for, this, and this, and then move on. Just kind of be a little bit more detailed there. And so you are going to spend some time and let people know who you work best with and who you don't work best with. And this is your opportunity to say, only apply if you fit these criteria. And so if you do this right, you're going to have a lot more highly targeted and highly motivated people to speak to during your enrollment conversations or strategy sessions. And that leads us right into the fourth shift that you need to make. This is the secret. Like the top people that I work for, they have a specific strategy session in place. In fact, most of the people, they're pretty close, but I'm going to show you some things in mine. I have a 7-step process right here, and there's at least 2 steps in here that nobody else teaches. I don't care what who else is out there. There's nobody that teaches these steps. And so the first one's bonding and rapport. This is kind of common, right? Everybody knows this, right? You open the call up, you don't go right into the sales pitch. You just want to say, oh, hey, so where are you from? Like how's the weather there today? Cool, I'm in Denver, Colorado. It's the middle of winter, and we're projected to have 75-degree temperatures, and I'm in a t-shirt right now. That's kind of a cool little opening thing, right? It takes the mind away from the sales conversation. So it kind of drops a little bit of that pressure, that barrier. And then we go into a frame control. And frame control is kind of like time frame. Like this is one of the easiest ways. You can say, hey, I've got 60 minutes. That's a time frame, right? So we frame things around that. Hey, I've got 60 minutes for the call, and in that 60 minutes, here's what I'd like. It's kind of like the agenda, right? What we're going to cover so that there's no surprises. Hey, I'm just going to find out about your business, right? I'm going to find out what you are here for, right? What are the challenges that you're going through? And at the end of the call, we'll talk about a program that I've got. You can tell them, say, hey, look, at the end of the call, if there's a fit, I'll let you know about something that I've got. And so there's no surprises when you get to the end. So it's pretty simple. And you do that, in the first 5 minutes, all that's done. And now you get into that. You say, look, now you've given me permission to find out where you are now, where you want to be in the future, and what challenges are getting in the way. And so we just ask questions around that. And I'm going to tell you a little structure. Like this is I usually save this for my high level coaching, but I'm going to share this with you now because this is so important. The reason why this formula works, like most other people, when you see that their high-end sales process, they're going to tell you to jump into the future question first. Hey, let me jump right in. And if we're having this conversation in 12 months, tell me about that. They're going to jump right into the future, and I'll tell you why that's wrong. That's wrong because people want to tell you what happened. They want to catch you up to the present. And here's the cool thing is when you start with where they are now, this is all facts. This is not stuff that they're creating. This is facts. So they're going to give you all the stuff real quick, right? Tell me quickly where you're at right now. How's your business? Boom, they're going to kind of lay it out for you. And it's all facts. And they're going to lead you right up to the present. And then you say, cool, now I'm caught up to speed, right? Like if you go catch up with a friend, they're going to be like, hey, tell me what happened over the last 10 years. And then you catch up and you're like, cool, now here, let me tell you about what's going on. Here's what we got going, right? So it just is a common flow. Like, let me catch you up, go, tell me now, and now the future. And then you can ask that, hey, in 12 months, what are your goals? Tell me about that. And why aren't you there? What are the challenges getting in your way? So you find out and you spend most of your time in the conversation right there. And then at the end, you say, great, let me see if I got this correct. You're here because you said that you're here because of this. And this is where you're at now. This is the goals you want for the future. And these are the things getting in your way. Am I missing anything? And they're going to go, no, that's pretty much it. And I'm going to tell you, just that simple step right there, like people are going to go, wow, it's amazing. You actually listened to me. Because most other salespeople, they're like, oh, when you hear a buying signal, go for the sale. No, like this right now at the active listening, we're probably 35 to 40 minutes into the call. And I haven't said anything about me or my program, right? I don't talk like that's not what we do. We don't try to sell. Like it's an inspirational call. It's not a sales call. We enroll people, and the way we enroll them is through inspiration. So this is one of the steps that nobody teaches. It's get commitment. So you got to get commitment from people. Like, it's like, hey, like at this point, people are like, cool. So tell me what you got. And most salespeople are going to go, yeah. So here's our program. Here's our package. Let me tell you, I think you're a good fit. And I say, well, wait, 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 wait. I need to make sure that you're a good fit. Like I can't just take everybody on. So let me ask you some questions. So I get their commitment and I say, look, are you this type of, like, here's who I'm looking for. And it might be different for you. But like I want somebody that's got, is an action taker. I want someone that's ready to do this now, right? So I'll ask them that. I'll say, hey, are you an action taker ready to do this now? And they're going to say yes or no. And most people say yes, right? Yeah, I'm an action taker. Yeah, I want to do this now. Okay, cool. So you're committed to that. So I put that down and then I say, great, like here's the inspiration. So here's another thing. Like when people get down, it's hard to sell people when they're down. But when you get them happy and enthusiastic, it's a lot easier for them to make that decision, especially after they just come off of feeling bad. Like for instance, picture crying. Why does somebody cry? Because they feel so emotionally bad that there's nothing else left. They just pour out from the inside. They just start going. But then what happens? They stop. So why do they stop? Because they start feeling better. They can't, it starts to hurt, right? So they stop and then they need to feel better. It's almost like if you were to hold your breath, at some point you're either going to pass out or it's going to hurt so much that you just take a breath. And then in that moment, it went from pain to pleasure. And that pleasure is where we want to make get them to make the decision, and we inspire them to that. So hey, are you this type of person? Cool. Now do you think you can do this on your own, or do you think you need some help? I mean, it's as simple as that. Do you think that, would you agree, if you had some help, and if I could help you to get to this level, would you think that you could reach that level a little faster than on your own? Yeah. Okay, cool. So now they're getting more inspired. It's like, look, you don't have to do it on your own. Like, look, I've helped people do this and I can help you to get there too. So we inspire them. We start getting them up. Like that, remember we said that future identity, right? We wanted to create a new image, right? Remember, most people have a low self-image. So this is why I put this step in here, is because I want to pump people up. I want to inspire them and show them that yes, they have that in them already, and it's just because they're, I think it's Zig Ziglar or somebody says, stinking thinking. It's just because they're caught in this crap, this funk, and they just need somebody else to get them out of that. And then the very last step is just to say, okay, cool. Well, you gave me your commitment. You're ready to do this. So, are you ready? Let's do this. So, and then there's some advanced stuff in the strategy sessions, like body language. Like this is, a lot more important, especially if you're doing it in person, but still on the phone. Tonality, like you start high and you end low. That's a power statement. There's masculine and feminine energy. This is some really cool stuff. I mean, I could talk hours on this. This is some really cool stuff. Like the left side of your body is feminine and the right side of your body is masculine. So I'll give you a little tip right here. If you do speaking on stage, if you really want to command the audience and you want to drive in a point, you just shift your hips out to the right and you put your right foot out a little bit and you put your right shoulder out a little bit. Now you're projecting your masculine energy. Now, if you want to be more sincere and draw the audience in, you shift your weight to your left side. Put your left foot out. You put your your left shoulder out, and you project your feminine energy. And now you're going to draw people in. This stuff works. Masculine, feminine energy. It's push versus pull. So I teach this stuff, and it really goes back to strategy session, mindset, law of attraction, energy. And the result of all this stuff is that I've actually sold millions of dollars of coaching and done for you like marketing services and live 3 to 5 day events. And as I mentioned earlier, even if people don't go forward, they're not going to feel like you pressured them or it's just like a hard sell. I mean, you're going to hear a lot more no's because you're going to be a lot more, it's a little, I call it slightly aggressive. You're a little bit more aggressive. You challenge people. You're like, look, you're here for a reason and I'm not going to let you just walk away. You just told me you don't want that life and now you're going to walk back to it. As your advisor at this point, I cannot ethically let you go back to the life you say you no longer want. So yes, you have to be a little bit slightly aggressive. It's kind of like that workout trainer, right? you kind of, it's that like you want to give up, but they're like, no, come on, give me one more, come on, you can do it, one more, let's do one more, right? It's not negative, it's not bad, it's just someone, sometimes you need that like swift kick in the ass just to kind of give you that little bit of a push, that little bit of an edge. And so yeah, you're going to hear a lot more no's because you're going to challenge people to say no, but you're also going to hear a lot more yeses because you're going to make the process a lot easier and they're going to see value. You're going to inspire them to say yes, you're going to inspire them to invest into themselves and not pay to just get coaching from you. And in summary, the smartest and most successful coaches have a successful sales process. They have a system for turning their cold leads into high paying clients. And the real problem is that most coaches and consultants are just unaware of new and better ways of doing things. And they just don't realize that the solution has already been created by others. Now, I've worked for some of the top 7 in multi 7-figure earners, and here's some of them. Like, I already mentioned these guys: Ted McGrath, there's Josh Turner, there's Glenn Dietzel, Jane Duber, Sharon Lechter, Margaret Lynch, Blair Singer, Oliver Ptolemayan, Ken MacArthur. I've done stuff with Empower Network. So these are big name guys. I've done over 2,500 enrollment conversations over the last few years. And yeah, I have heard a lot of no's, but I also figured out what's worked, and my clients are extremely happy as the result. In fact, you may have heard of this guy, Ted McGrath. He's an industry leader. He sells $30,000, $100,000, $200,000 packages. I was his number one sales guy for a while, and here, just listen to what Ted's got to say.
Okay, I love this guy. I want to tell you why, okay? So we just did our launch, as many of you know. How many of you spoke to Preston on the phone? Anybody? Isn't he awesome, right? Yes. He's the reason why. Give him a round of applause, huh? So one of the things that I love about him in enrollment, he's great at enrolling customers, okay? Here's one of the things that I love, and this is one of the things I think people need to learn. He's great on the phone. He's great at enrollment. He had he didn't work the whole launch because we didn't tell him in advance it was going to be so long, because I didn't know. It just kept getting longer and longer. But in the time he did work, he had the most sales in that period of time of all of our salespeople in terms of his volume and his commissions, right? And he does it, and he had the most high-end sales too, right? Like with our different programs. And he does it, and he has an art when he does it. So yes, there's times where he'll pull people in, but there's times where he'll go, hey, just go think on that. Right? So he has that ability.
So there's that, and he's just talking about that masculine, feminine energy that I was just talking about too. He has the ability to draw people in, but he also has the ability to say, like, go think about it. So that's a very important key aspect as an advanced thing in selling is that masculine, feminine energy. So those are some pretty cool things. Now, I can show you exactly what I did to run circles around those other 4 sales guys. So we had 5 salespeople on the team, 4 others including me. And so, at the bottom here, I say I did twice what the other 4 salespeople did combined. So you can go down the path that they did, or the path that I did in the past, right? You can, just keep trying and trying. You can have conversation after conversation, and you can keep spinning your wheels. You can do what I did, thousands of hours of long strategy, hour-long strategy sessions, and you can hear many no's, right? And that creates stress. There's no money coming in, and you feel stuck. Or you can just do the good way. You can just follow my system, and you can go from frustrated and struggling to clarity, action, and results. And you can do it just like one of my clients, Dr. Peter Frick. And he signed up 3 clients in our first month working together, and he just sent me an email, and he just signed up another 2 clients at $2,500 a month. And here's the email that he just sent me. He says, hey Preston, here's the good news. Yesterday I somehow managed to get my Facebook campaigns running. I had 2 strategy sessions over the weekend using your template. One in Germany. He lives in Germany, and I got him to start doing some stuff here in the United States, and so he got one in Germany and one in the U.S. Both booked at $2,500 a month, one for 3 months and one for a year. So that's the guy I was telling you about, $30,000 right there, $2,500 times 12, and then he's got $7,500 coming in from this 3-month session. So $2,500 a month. Like I said earlier, if you want to become, get that kind of client, you got to become that client. So there it is. Here's to success. He's very happy with that. And here's us. And one of the things that he did a combo package where he got the uh, coaching over time. We met once a week, but he also did a VIP day. And so he flew in here to Colorado. This is us at Red Rocks Amphitheater, which is one of the best amphitheaters in the world to see a live music show outside, and that's Denver in the background way back there. So he flew out here, did a VIP day, and it's just awesome. I love doing that stuff. And so, you can have similar results too. That's why I just show you that for what's possible. And you can continue to do things that you've been doing, and you can try to do it on your own, and you can continue to get the similar results that you've been getting. It's just a choice. And that leads us to the fifth shift that has really helped to increase my sales. It's helped increase my client sales. Just like my seven-figure clients invest into mentoring to help them to continually improve. Just like my other clients, like Peter and Gerald So and David McCallerum, just like they invest into mentoring to help them continually improve, and just like I invest into mentoring to help me continually improve, you should invest into mentoring too to help you continually improve. And whether it's with another coach or it's with me, you should be getting mentored. And a big reason why is, there's a big thing. There's like self-study courses versus having somebody walk you through everything. This is the reason why I don't really offer self-study courses, right? Like, nobody gets results. 90% of the people just buy them and go through it. I don't want to take your money and have you get no results and get pissed off at me. Why would I want to do that? Most people even come back and even group coaching doesn't work, right? So what works is having me sit down with you to work on your specific business, not general, but specifics. And that's the difference. That's why you spend a little bit more to have me walk you through this stuff. I've already done all this stuff. I can show you exactly how to shortcut the process. I can give you everything step by step. And so you can do that. You can continually try to do it on your own because it's a cheaper price and you're going to continue to stay stuck where you are. Or, you get to work on you. You get to see what's working now. You get to see what's working now from the best. You get to drastically reduce your learning curve to success. And you get access to immediate solutions. You get access to someone at a higher level than you. You get access to community. You get access to sharing. Like, that's important. So you have immediate access to more efficient ways of doing things. And that equals freedom. And bottom line is that success is just so much easier with a mentor. So, look, today I promised you that I would show you the 5 secrets that I use to close $2,000 to $200,000 coaching packages for my seven-figure clients. I showed you the 5-step marketing funnel that all my clients use that really helps making enrolling clients a lot easier. And I showed you my 7 steps to a perfect strategy session and how you can increase your closing ratio by 30 to 40% if you just follow those simple steps. And I also promised that you're going to learn my proven step-by-step system to turn more leads into high-paying clients quickly and easily, and that if you made the 5 shifts in your business, that you can watch your sales and your income skyrocket by 30%, 30 to 40% or more. And that's if you have total confidence in yourself. If you just have the simple marketing funnel in place and it's perfected, you have the initial call to action offer just really tight, and you really perfect your strategy session, and again, heart centered. Like, these like, I just teach how do you come from the heart, and then obviously mentoring. If you want to really shortcut the process, learn from somebody that's already done it. And so you have a choice to make. You can do it the easy way or you can do it the hard way. And the hard way is just to continue doing what you've been doing. You can hope for the best, you can hope something changes, but you're going to continue what you've been getting. And that is struggle, frustration, and it's pain. That's not what you want. That's why you're here, is to get rid of that. So how much longer do you want to continue that life for you? And what's it costing you to continue to stay on your current path? You can continue to try to do it on your own, or you can choose the easy way. You can just get help and shortcut the process. And you can choose a different path today. And we're always faced with those two choices. You can continue to do what you've been doing, or you can choose to do something different and you can get different results. And so there's 2 ways that I can help you. I have a private one-on-one mentoring program, and it's minimum of 3 months. You have to, have a business, and you got to be making money already. This is for me to come in and just help you tweak out what you're already doing, to help you improve. If you're just starting out, I don't work with people just starting out. You have to have something in place. So we can do private one-on-one, and this is for you if you want to meet weekly and have me meet with you once a week, and then go through and give you the action steps that you need to take, the next 1, 2, or 3 steps that you need to take over the next week in order to move you along, like Peter, to keep continually moving along until you can get to that point where you're now getting strategy sessions and you're closing pretty much every strategy session that comes in. And then I have another thing. It's a VIP day, and these are the two things that Peter did. Is we did the 3 month of coaching ongoing, and he also chose a VIP day. And so if you want me to personally, this is awesome, where we just sit down and I go through everything with you, like, instead of just meeting once a week for a few weeks, we get to sit down and you basically get me for the whole day, or a half day. I do half day sessions as well, and you can either fly into Colorado or wherever I'm at, in the in that present moment, wherever I'm at, you can fly in and we can spend the day together. Or if you want me to fly to you, I can certainly do that. You'll have to cover my expenses for travel, but most people just, we just do it virtually. Like, they'll just give me everything. I'll just go through everything. And then I'll just kind of take my notes down and find out where their gaps are, and then we go through and we have a consultation and I present everything. So either of those options is how I can help you. And so if you'd like to apply for mentoring with me, and if you'd like to explore the option of hiring me to help you improve your overall sales process from A to Z, beginning to end, then we're going to set up a time to have a phone call, and I'm just going to find out a little bit more about you and where you are now, where you want to be in the future, see if there's a fit to work together or not. And I'll tell you the details, the investment, and how you can get started. Now, this is not for everybody, okay? So if you're broke, you got no money, you're just starting out, you don't have any clients, you're debating on whether you should invest with me or pay your rent, this is not for you. Please do not go forward. Please do not waste my time. Like I said, I've got a lot of things on my schedule, and then over the next month or two, as some of these other projects start coming a little bit more to light, there's going to be a lot less time for me. So please do not waste time and show up if you're not really serious about investing into yourself to get a mentor. If you're a know-it-all, and like, here's the big thing, a lot of times I have to untrain you. If you know so many, a lot of times people come in, like, I've been doing this for 20 years. You're going to know some things, and I'm going to teach you some basic stuff. And that's the funny thing, is that the basic stuff is what works. So I'm going to have to untrain you on some things. And if you're a know-it-all and you want to kind of tweak out what the system that I give you, this is not going to be a good fit. I need you to put your beliefs and everything aside and just follow the system exactly the way that I say it, so that you get the results fast. If you're the type of person that doesn't listen and you don't take action, this is not going to be for you as well. If you have a bad attitude and you only care about the money, and not really caring about your clients, then this is not going to be for you. And yes, I put this in here again, if you are not an action taker, please do not apply. If I'm going to tell you something and you're not going to do it, there's no reason for you to invest, okay? And you're not investing into me, you're investing into yourself. Like, I'm spending my time to help you to get to the level that you want to, like my past clients, okay? So if you're not an action taker, then there's nothing that I can do to help you. I can give you this system, but it's not going to work. And so the last thing is, if you're just not ready to invest into yourself now, again, you're not investing into me. This is you taking action and investing into yourself to get the help you need to get you to that next level, okay? And why am I doing this? Because I want to provide total clarity on where you are now, where you want to be in the next, say, 3 to 12 months, and what challenges are getting in your way, so that you know exactly what your next step is, so you can reach your goals that you haven't been able to reach on your own. And I'm also doing this because I'm transitioning away from being a high ticket sales closer for a lot of 7-figure coaches and consultants now, and doing a little bit more on my own. I'm focusing on training those guys, right? I'm focusing on training them and their clients. And this is one of the reasons, is because I do sell $100,000 and $200,000 packages, and a lot of times people are just like, well, why would I spend that? Why wouldn't I just invest with you? So I get a lot of people that want me because I'm actually the one that comes in and teaches these guys, like the seven figure, multi seven figure guys. I teach them how to, create their funnel. That's what my specialty is helping those guys out there get those big funnels going. But I'm here trying to do this now to bring this to, yes, those people, but also to the lower guys that want to get to those levels. So, my fees are usually a lot less than what those guys are charging, and you get a lot higher level. And so, really, what I'm doing is I'm looking for my next success story. I love hearing people like Gerald and Peter and David and all these people coming in and just saying how much success that they've had. I get to understand who you are as a person, and so that's who I'm looking for as my next success story, and that person could be you. So who makes my best success story? Well, you got to have an active coaching practice. You got to be generating leads. You got to have clients coming in, and you got to be making money. It's pretty simple, you know. But if you're tired of the results you've been getting and you want to experience different results now, and you're ready for a change and a transformation in your life and your business now, and you're an action taker who's ready to take action now to experience the success that you desire now, well, if that's you, then you're the type of person that I want to talk to. And so I'd like to invite you to apply to join my mentoring program. And again, I've got two ways that I can help you. There's the private weekly coaching, or we can do a private VIP day or a half day. And so to get going, I just have a simple process. Go to meetwithpreston.com, get on my calendar, and pick a day and time that's convenient to you. And so if you are on the fence, just picture what it's costing you to stay where you are, struggling, frustrated, stuck, not sure what to do next, working too hard, not making much money, not charging or earning what you're worth. Or maybe you just feel like you hate sales. Maybe you just feel you're not a salesperson. Maybe you just feel like selling just doesn't come from the heart, and so my question is, what's all that costing you? And there's always a cost to every decision that we make. Everything involves sacrifice at some time, you know, and no matter what you want to achieve in life, there's always going to be a cost involved. It's like time, money, our sanity, right? So in order to achieve anything, you got to ask yourself, what am I willing to let go of or give up in order to get what I want, right? What are you going to let go of today? What are you going to give up now in order to have what you really want tomorrow? What am I willing to sacrifice now so I can have that tomorrow? And look, here's the bottom line. If you aren't willing to make sacrifices to achieve, the success that you really want, you're not going to get the results that you want. And if you aren't willing to do that, and you're not really willing to do what it takes, to be the best coach, to be the best trainer, the best consultant in your field, somebody else is. And if that's not you, you're not willing, able, and ready to give it your all, well, maybe it's time to end that pain. Maybe you should just quit, right? Maybe you should just go get a job, right? Maybe go work for somebody else who is taking their business seriously. And you can continue to get what you've been getting, or you can do something different, in this moment and get different results, like Peter, like Gerald, like David, and like many others did. You can choose a new path right now. And if you're willing to make the necessary sacrifices now and do what it takes to be the best for your business, your clients, your family, and really most importantly for you, then you can have that life that you want. So now you get to choose. You can stay where you are and you can get the same results that you've been getting, but you don't really want that. That's why you're here right now, right? You're here now searching for an answer. You're here now searching for something different. Or you can choose to do something different right now. And if that's you, then the next step is I'd like to invite you to apply to work with me. Your next step is to visit meetwithpreston.com, get on my calendar, schedule your 60-minute call. And again, my calendar gets booked up really fast, so if this is not a good fit for you, just please don't apply right now. There's plenty of time in the future. In fact, I can only take on a couple of clients right now anyways, one, two, three, maybe 3 or 4 clients, but I can't take on too many more with all the other projects that I've got going. It wouldn't be fair. I wouldn't have enough time. So I'm really only looking for, really that next one person that's ready to, take their business to the next level, to, experience what they've been wanting and have not been able to achieve on their own. And if it's worth a phone call to see if I'm a good fit to help you to get there, then I invite you to visit meetwithpreston.com, jump into my calendar, pick a day and time that's convenient to you, and we'll get on a call. I'll find out a little bit more about your business, where you are now, where you want to be in the future, and then I'll tell you about the mentoring program or VIP day. And if it's a fit, we'll get you enrolled. If not, we can part ways as friends. And like I said, when I show you what we've got and how it can help you, I'm pretty confident that if you're the right fit and you meet the criteria, that I'm pretty confident that I can get you to that level that you want pretty quickly. Okay, so this is Preston Ron signing off. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Talk with you soon. Bye.